Hello, guys. Welcome to Cinespection. Happy 2022. I was about to say 2021. That happens, right? First week. Happy 2022, John from Cinespection and the team. Happy to be back. We said we would be back before the end of the year, but we wouldn't be us if we didn't, come through on a promise, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm Gabe. That's John. It's been, I had 2 weeks where I was like very disconnected, but at the same time, lots of things came out. So, John, I think that we're just like doing, stuff
Feel like we were just
many
yeah,
mainstream stuff that we don't usually do, which it's just different, right? It's fine, but it's different.
yeah. It was. I mean, we talked about things like Spider-Man, and of course, we're going to talk about the Matrix. But I think that's because we have a little bit of differing opinions. But yeah, it was a little bit different. We watched mostly mainstream things until like this week.
Hey, yeah, hello there from General Filoni. Dave Filoni, he's a big Star Wars person. Hello, Biz Gaming. Happy 22 to the year of our Star Wars savior, Dave Filoni. Yeah, I don't know about that, but we'll see. Yes, The Matrix. Yeah, we have two shows back to back right now. The Matrix Resurrections, and then we're gonna go over Hawkeye and the MCU. So stick around. You just have to switch videos. But we didn't want to do like one 2 hour video. Hopefully this won't be 2 hours. But we don't want to be like just one long video. So we're just like,
we split this week's episode into two because of that.
Because of that, yeah. And then Dives. Hey, what's up, Dives? Great write up on the movie. Thanks. Yeah, I did an article, John, that I'm sure you ignored about my thoughts on this movie. I mean, suffice to say, I don't find any criticisms on it to be ungrounded. And I think that's what I'm about to hear from you. But before we get into like the movie stuff, should we do like our favorite section?
Yeah. We can try. I will attempt.
Okay.
All right.
Go for it, John.
It's the first movie, but now it's just the same movie again. Like word for word, in some cases, the same movie again. So, yeah, that's the plot of The Matrix Resurrection.
I mean, that is not the plot. Don't lie.
It is the same. It is the same Neo breaking out of the Matrix by taking a pill. It is the most predictable plot line that I could have ever imagined. I mean, it wasn't.
But try to be more specific. That's what's fun about it.
Yeah. All right. So we get back into the world, and we're on a new generation of the Matrix, and Neo is once again in the Matrix. But to everybody else, he looks like this balding middle-aged man, maybe even older. I think he looks like he's in his 60s or something. By the way, I don't want to get into it, but the CG on that was horrible, and I don't know if it was like supposed to be or what. But like,
did you notice that like in the first before you realize that he's supposed to look like somebody else, there's many like shots where his reflection looks like that?
Yeah, everywhere. Yeah, for like brief seconds, a la like Fight Club, where it's like
exactly
randomly.
Exactly.
And I actually really appreciated that. That like the one thing I will say about this movie is that
Trinity 2 looks like somebody else. A couple of shots. Yeah.
The thing that I will give to this movie is that it did not hold back on the details. There were a lot of little details throughout the entire movie, and that was the one thing that was like good about it. And a lot of homages to the original trilogy without it being in your face, which is one of your complaints with Ghostbusters, right?
I mean, I think it's well, okay. Well, you didn't explain the plot very well, but let's just skip over this because I want to like just fight you. No, I'm just kidding. We won't fight, but I think that yes, there's a lot of references to the original movie. I don't believe they were done with the same intent or accomplished the same purpose as Ghostbusters Afterlife and many other,
sequel reboots.
Sequel reboots. I mean, let's talk a bit about that because it just feels like these days, like, millennials are drawn to nostalgia. We are all drawn to like what we liked, as kids, and I think studios have wised up to that for the last like what 10, 15 years at least.
Yeah.
Um it's become a bit excessive, because I do think there are some things that are just like we talked about this before, like it's just icons of the past. And to me, The Matrix was something that started and ended, and that was it. We did
Yes.
not need a fourth Matrix movie.
Or what looks like it's going to be a fifth, maybe sixth Matrix movie.
I mean, I mean that'll be well. Let's talk about that at the end. But
Yeah.
I mean, I am I'm not convinced that there will be a sequel to this, and I'm not convinced that Lana Wachowski's intent was to set up another movie. I think her intent was like, this is what I want to say in this one, and to the guy that follows up after me, just note A, B, and C, which is the movie just tells you what she's thinking, which I found fascinating.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
All right, going back to the plot, I will say that I did find it interesting that
We're so messy. We go to the
we
plot.
are
and
so
come back
bad
to-
right now. I know, but I need to get into this.
Yeah,
because
do it.
this is actually something I enjoyed about the movie is
Oh,
that he
fuck.
coded a video game and that is the original Matrix, right? Like they locked his memories up into a video game,
Yeah.
and yeah.
I mean, I thought
And
that was
interesting.
interesting. I thought that was interesting. It led us to be like very meta moments. Let's see what Dives is saying. My friends and I did a watch party with
Yeah,
us
I mean,
questions.
yeah.
I took a drink every time there was a reference to the OG films. We stopped 45 minutes in because we were wasted. Yeah, I mean, he's right. And that was the point you were trying to make. And again, yes, there are numerous, like the opening sequence is basically the new characters watching the first movie. That is how the movie starts,
Mhm.
the new characters watching the first movie. And I think I think at first I read it as in they're just recreating it for nostalgia purposes, a la Star Wars: The Force Awakens,
Yeah.
Ghostbusters Afterlife, whatever, right? Tons of movies that we're getting these days. But then I realized they were just like saying, yeah, here it is, but it's different because I won't give you the same shit again. So they kind of like twisted it in a way, like just like this movie more than a sequel. It's almost like a parody / critique of the original. And at least that's how I read it.
I mean, I can see how you could go into it like that. Yeah, that's a way
Yeah.
to look at it. I didn't look at it that way. I looked at it as just like a lot of repetition. The movie was slow. It was long. It could have been cut down a lot more.
It could have been cut. It could have been cut a lot, especially all the scenes in Io, the new human
Mhm.
city in the future. I think some of those could have been cut. Definitely. Dives likes your Captain America poster.
Thanks, Dives.
Yeah. I do think that's true, but I mean, let's get into what to me was the heart of the movie, like the most important part. And there's a scene around the 30-minute mark or so. There's a scene where there's a group of video game developers, which are just bots from the Matrix that this time just relies on Neo and Trinity's connection to function. And they're talking about what the Matrix means to them. And you have Christina Richie come in as like a studio executive, which I found to be pretty funny. Like, Christina Richie in any movie is like awesome, right? Like any movie she comes in and you're like, yeah, like Casper, whatever. And what's your favorite Christina Richie movie?
What is it? There's only like two, right? Casper.
What are you talking about? Monster, Casper,
yeah.
Adam's Family, Speed Racer.
No, Black Snake Moan. Wasn't she in that?
Which one?
Black Snake Moan with Samuel L. Jackson.
I haven't seen that one. Maybe. She's been in tons of movies. What are you talking about? She's like she was acting. She was a child. Anyway, she comes in and you have all these people like discussing like what the Matrix means to them, right? And it's a allegory for capitalism, and other people's like, oh, the Matrix is about bullet time, and the Matrix is about. And I feel like that's just like Lana Wachowski like reading internet comments and reading like never-ending analysis.
That scene was actually really funny because
it was because it was true. It's like what
Yeah.
people spent hours debating, and she's like, yeah, here it is. But then she goes into like the rest of the movie is what the Matrix means to me,
Yeah.
which to me was really a really welcome addition, because there's nothing like a creator telling you, this is what it is to me, this is what it's become, this is what I want to show you it is. Like, I think that's where she goes to, and I really appreciated that.
I mean, okay, yeah. I mean, I appreciate your like how much you've actually thought about this movie. I like that scene because I thought it was really funny. Like
Yes, the
that's
scene
why
was
I
funny.
like the scene. It's because I
Yes,
thought it was funny, because I've literally read those comments a million times.
exactly. I mean, it's that, like, people from the 90s, how this was like evaluated and reevaluated and discussed for years, like,
Well, it
you
was
know.
revolutionary.
Exactly, because it was right, and I think that's what I get into, like, on my review. If if anybody wants to check it out, as opposed to John, who didn't.
I'm gonna get so much shit for this.
Yes, but no, I mean, many people didn't. It's fine. It wasn't long. I'm trying to, like, contain myself with these articles, but I think that, like, something that like, she makes it abundantly clear, like, the Wachowskis, now just Lana, but the sisters have, every time they've made a movie, they never give you the same thing again. They never do what you thought they would do. Like, Speed Racer is, like it or not, is a one of a kind movie. Whatever, Cloud Atlas, the
Same
first
thing. Yeah, I
Matrix,
agree.
like, all those. And let
From
me read
Vendetta.
a quote
Yeah.
to you. So, spoilers. I mean, spoilers for the end of the movie, but this line is said by who is ultimately revealed to be the villain of the piece, which is Neil Patrick Harris's analyst, right? Which is the new version of the architect. He says this to Trinity and Neo at the end. So I'm just gonna read it to you, okay? He says, "The sheeple aren't going anywhere. They like my world. They don't want this sentimentality. They don't want freedom or empowerment. They want to be controlled. They crave the comfort of certainty." They crave the comfort of certainty. And I think that's Lana Wachowski saying, the sequel that you were expecting is the comfort of certainty, but what I'm giving to you is not that. And that's why the movie feels so
See,
weird.
I took that in a different way, because when I heard that, I thought that Lana was making a kind of like a statement about the modern world, because throughout the movie she places things like that too, right? The scene in the scene in the elevator, right? Like everybody's on their phone and their tablet and whatever else, and like it just kind of repeats. People are just living their life in this. It's kind of funny because they're playing the Matrix while they're living their life in the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Again,
like,
meta, right?
yeah,
Meta.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole thing it's going into. So I mean, it's kind of interesting.
I
But
mean, the
that's
way
how
I
I
thought
took
of
that thing at the
it.
end, is that everybody's just a sheeple on their device, just you know.
No, I think look, I mean, this is all speculation at this point, but it feels like somebody told Lana Wachowski, um, somebody at Warner Brothers, "Hey, we're gonna do this movie with or without you."
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, "I don't have anything to say. I said everything about I wanted to say about the Matrix 20 years ago." They're like, "Well, we're gonna do it. So do you have a story to tell?" And I think it was after her parents died, she had some ideas about what she wanted to do with this. And the way she framed this was, "I'm gonna make this into a critique of the original movie. Um, and I'm gonna tell you, like, why I made this movie during the movie, just
Yeah.
so it's clear that I'm not giving you, a standard normal sequel." Which I think that's why the complaints are fair, because it's boring, it's slow, it's derivative. Like, yeah, somebody told her probably, "Hey, you need to have a bunch of references to the original." Um, because that sells, right? In Ghostbusters
Yeah.
Afterlife,
It's
whatever.
nostalgia.
Cobra Kai, that sells for
Yeah.
me. Ghostbusters Afterlife sold for you. Everybody has their own thing. So she put the references in, but in a way that's a critique. It's not just like, people finding the crunch bar on Egon's, Ghostbuster outfit. Remember we talked about that one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like, and I appreciated that. I mean, and to your point, I'm seeing on the script, like, the action sequences, yeah, for sure, they are pretty inferior to anything we've seen on any movie by the Wachowskis, like
Yeah.
anything.
Well, and if you look at the legacy of the Matrix, and I put this in there, that
poster
John
game.
Wick is better, right? And why is John Wick better? Because like the people that choreographed the Matrix came in and then became the John Wick director, and that's how John Wick like became what it is.
Who was in the movie? Did you notice that the director of
Yeah,
he so in the more meta thing, uh Trinity's husband in the Matrix, right,
mm-hmm.
was played by Chad Stahelski, or I don't know if you have to pronounce his last name, who was Keanu's stunt double on the
Yeah,
first three Matrix, plus the director of the first John Wick, and then he did Deadpool 2, Hobbs and Shaw,
yeah.
etc.
But the action was subpar. Even like that was the big thing. Is like I don't know. They were like they even made a reference to it in the movie, which was well, there was bullet time before, so now we're gonna do like I don't know what it was. Wasn't it like the same thing except only Neil Patrick Harris could do bullet time? Like I don't get. I didn't really get that part.
But he had an absolute power to control the Matrix because
But
he was the
then
equivalent of the architect. The
yeah.
architect. I mean, look, do you like the sequels like 2 and 3?
So I've rewatched them recently, and I think I hated them a lot more when they first came out than
Okay.
I do now. Like I think with age, I've learned to appreciate them a little bit more. So I twofold answer. I used to really hate them, and now they're
Lukewarm.
not like they still have some really cool scenes, and like that was the most famous of which is the interstate scene where they built
Yeah.
2 miles of interstate to be able to shoot it, right?
And destroyed like 300 cars.
Yeah,
like,
and I mean it was just ridiculous. And
a
you
whole
have
action sequence without Neo.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, without the main character. Just like,
It just I mean you had something like that before and now like I think they spent a ton of money on this movie. And there was
which
nothing
was
like
surprising because, yeah, the action sequences, probably my main complaint about it was the action sequences, because as groundbreaking as I thought the narrative and the ideas behind it were, I think the action was pretty scarce. Except for I think they got better as it went along. So my favorite action sequences were the fight in that warehouse
Mhm.
and the motorcycle chase, which I thought was really well done and kind of like had a bit of a World War C vibe, kind of
Yeah.
like, with zombies, but in this case they were bots. I like that one. I like Neo, redirecting the missiles. Like I like those things.
Yeah. That was okay.
Nothing,
I mean,
nothing to do with any, no comparison with any action sequences in any of the first 3 films, in
yeah.
my view. But
Yeah.
I mean,
so
look,
those are my major complaints. Like it was long. Like if you could have cut out a lot of those portions of the movie, like you said, the whole new city that used to be Zion is now Io or whatever. Like
the strawberry stuff, like it's just
yeah.
universe building, and I think it's fine. I think it worked
I
for
mean, it's
me.
universe building because Warner Brothers won't leave this alone now. Like that's
Also, the
what it is.
Matrix.
It's so dumb.
I mean, it also makes you feel the Matrix movies, like them or hate them to different extents, they always make you feel like you're in another world. Like they transport you there,
Yeah.
right? Like you see Zion and they show you, okay, there's this person in Zion and shit is done this way in Zion and ships. And they're very good at putting you somewhere that doesn't exist, It's the same as like Star Wars, like say, the first Star Wars, like you just felt like you were somewhere that you've never been before.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist. That was just, a desert in Tunisia, like you just, whatever. And the studio backlot in London or whatever they shot the first one. I think to me, why I loved it so much was more due to what it means and what it's trying to say from an artistic perspective.
Yeah.
Than the usual, like, was Keanu good in it, or was, like the new, for example, like some things I'm puzzled by, but I also liked, like the new guy playing Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy the guy's performance. Like I thought he was awesome.
I mean, yeah, but why did you have to bring back Smith?
Because you have to, like Smith. I mean, it's been established in 2 and 3 that Smith and Neo are opposite sides of an equation.
Yeah.
So you can't have Neo without Smith. So they both come in. And I think they said in this movie, unless I'm remembering wrong, but I think they say in this movie, like, I have to be here.
Yeah.
Why does he look like a, Silicon Valley startup, guy? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they just couldn't get Hugo Weaving because he was busy.
Guaranteed they could not get Hugo Weaving, and that's why. Like,
I mean, I
Hugo
don't know.
Weaving's not doing anything. Like, I think he's very particular nowadays.
I think he's doing theater.
He's
Might be
not.
wrong, but I think he's doing a lot of theater.
I know that they asked him to come back, or the story goes that they asked him to come back for Infinity War, to do the whole Red Skull thing, and he was just like, nope,
Right.
nope, and he's been like super critical of most of the films that he was in the past. Actually, the guy who does Red Skull does like a perfect Hugo Weaving impression. Like, it's so good.
Although he did come back for The Hobbit,
which I guess because it's Tolkien. Like, I mean, I can't think of any other reason.
Because his character was in the book, but then they make him fight this like random ghost Sauron. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Look, I can't tell you you're right to you're wrong to dislike it, because I do think I'm surprised they spent $190 million on it. Like, this movie should have spent $50 million, $70 million, and just like, hey, Lana Wachowski, make a couple of good action sequence, but do your thing.
I mean, yeah, I don't know why you would spend. I mean, let's go. By the time marketing budget and everything's done, how much do you think this movie is going to cost Warner Brothers? Not to mention they put it streaming for free on HBO Max at the same time as it came out in theaters. I mean,
to break even, it needs to make like 600 million, 500.
Yeah, it's never going to make that.
Never going to make that. I mean, not even close. It's probably going to clock out at less than 200. But a big part because of COVID, and a big part because of
the day
HBO
that they
Max.
decided. Well, yeah, but also the day they decided to release it. They released The Matrix a week after Spider-Man,
which in normal circumstances would have been okay because the audience is different. This is an R-rated movie for older people. Like, teenagers are watching Spider-Man. You and I are also watching Spider-Man, whatever. But like,
I think everybody's watching Spider-Man. But yeah,
I mean, older people are not. The people that would have seen like movies that are bombing right now, The Last Duel, I keep saying. Many of those movies would have been for like all the older audiences. They're just not showing up.
Yeah.
They're just not watching. Licorice Pizza, whatever. Like, all those movies are like for older people. They're not showing off. Dive says Jonathan Graff is famous in my parts. I guess he's the guy who plays Smith. I thought he was great. Yeah, exactly. Fun fact, the new Smith is from right down the street for me. That's awesome. I thought he was great. I thought he was very, very good. He did not try to do Hugo Weaving. He tried to do his own thing. He even calls Neo Tom instead of Mr. Anderson. It's just like, Anderson. I'm just going to do my own thing. And I appreciated that, because sometimes when people just try to do what somebody else did, they fail miserably. Like, it's just like, no. Like the guy who played Han Solo.
It was very, like you said, it was very Silicon Valley douchebaggy. Like, if you've watched Silicon Valley, there's a guy on there, Russ Hanneman. It's very much Russ Hanneman. So,
right.
Yeah. Anyway.
That's what he did. I mean, look, I think if you want to go watch The Matrix Resurrections, or you can just get HBO Max and watch it, I think you should try to think of it as what the Wachowskis have done throughout their careers, which is, here's something that you haven't seen before. So if you want to do a reboot, yes, we'll give you some of the usual reboot stuff, but we'll do it our own way. And in this case, a parody / so here's the scene that here's bullet time, but this time, it's just like, if you think
I think it's funny that they called it bullet time, but I don't think that that was ever mentioned before, right? Like,
no, never. Yeah, that's a term used like for in the real world.
I first heard about it in video games, actually, which is where I think Lana actually, it's really meta there too, because like The Matrix is a video game. And like, I first heard about that with a game called Max Payne that came out in like, I don't know, 01 or 02.
That was a good game.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but that was bullet time. So it's kind of funny that it ties back to the game. Like it was interesting. I'm glad I watched it. I just
You
to
won't
like
watch it again. You
I
wouldn't
won't.
watch it again.
I've been trying. I've been trying to work up the ability to sit there for that long and watch it. Because here's the problem. I know I've seen it now. Like the first time, I didn't get on my phone. I just strictly paid attention to it. I don't think I could do that again. I would have to like lock my phone in a safe so I couldn't get to it. Because otherwise, I'd just sit there and kind of like look up during the action scenes and like go back to phone world, especially anything during IO.
Yeah. I mean, I think what we can agree on is that I'd rather see Lana Wachowski do something else. I
Yeah,
don't think
I
we
mean,
needed
100%.
another Matrix movie. The Matrix is done. I think the third movie, if you like it like me, I love every single Matrix movie are among my favorite movies. I think this one's the one I like the least, but I still like it. Um, the third one just ends like if you liked it, the way the third one ends, I think is perfect. Like I
Yeah,
won't change a thing.
the ending on this just rehashed the ending of the first one. And I mean, I don't know. My guess is Warner Brothers will not let this die, just like they won't let Harry Potter die, and they won't let all of the crappy DC
But
stuff
that's our
die.
fault, because we
I
like
know.
what they do. Like, I'm not blaming you personally. Our meaning the audience's fault. Like,
Yeah.
you like Ghostbusters, you would watch another one. I like this one, I would watch another one. And they just gotta keep doing this. Like, we're not, and then they come out with a new movie, and we just don't go watch it. We don't go watch it. Like nobody watched Dune, or very few people watched Dune, which is not really original because it's based on a book, and also it had been made already as a movie. And
Yeah, but Dune was awesome. And they've greenlit the second one, thank God.
I mean, yeah, but I don't think it's going to be too very well. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, I hope it does, but I mean, we talked about this already. Go watch our Dune episode where John and I ranted on Halloween Kills for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, final thoughts. I recommend watching it for how interesting it is and how bold and innovative it is. Like it is not something you've seen before. And I truly, truly respect the Wachowskis for respecting us enough to give us something like that. And we might like it or not, but I think we can appreciate like, hey, look, they just didn't do Ghostbusters Afterlife.
I would watch it if it was a Ghostbusters Afterlife.
I
Okay.
hate you. I hate you. Let's end this right now. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So we'll be back in about 15 minutes to talk about the
Hawkeye.
MCU, Hawkeye, and the MC. I'm very curious about like your thoughts on the MCU going forward, and I have many.
I think we're going to differ in opinions once again.
Yeah, no, I mean that's good, right? I mean we're not mean at all. And go read my full thoughts on this. I actually didn't review the movie when I wrote my article. I just went into the way I perceived Lana Wachowski's thoughts. And then of closing it out with like, what, just watch the movie, because in the movie everything she wanted to tell us is in the movie. Yes, Dives. Yeah, Ghostbusters.
Right.
I mean, okay, but you're both wrong. So John, people can find you at Joe Firth right there. Oh, fuck me.
I never get it
there
right
we
the
go.
first time.
There we go. And then me over here, Filipinas.com, full thoughts. This is how you dance when you hack.